Hello and welcome back to the Overwatch transfer roundup. We are going to go through all of these transfers across all of the regions, and it's going to be a little bit of a chunky one as we haven't done one in a little bit of a while. And there's been, substantial Overwatch League transfers and transfers in NA, and for once the Pacific actually features in this, which is really nice to see. So, talking of the Pacific, let's get to it in that region. And first of all, we will start off at Connect Gaming in the Pacific, who have signed up 3 Japanese players. This is 2 support players, Liz and Mint, and then the DPS player Lappen. They will all be coming into Connect Gaming, and I wish them all the best. Then we see the reformation of Akihabara and Count. Oh, I've heard that one before. They're bringing in a coach. This is Clank, the Japanese coach. They're bringing in 2 Japanese support players. This is Maz and Nihito. Then they're bringing in a Korean tank player, Kaiberos. They're also bringing in 2 Korean DPS players, Zerg and Mango, and then they are bringing in the Japanese DPS player, Daisy. And last of all, they will be signing Plankton, the Japanese tank player, on a loan from Far East Society. Far East Society are one of the best teams in the Pacific. They're very well known, and they used to actually do very well in the Pacific region when it had a contenders region. So this is a very good move for them. Now we will move over to a different region now. So let's go to the other side of the screen. Let's go to the one region, the one move in Korea. This is Chara, the ex-Guangzhou Charge player. He's coming into a coach role at T1. Chara wanted to go into coaching after leaving the Overwatch League, and he has found a really good place to start off that journey, and I wish him all the best in that. Then in China, we see that the one winner have transferred their Chinese DPS player Pineapple to Bilibili Gaming. Bilibili Gaming picking up some players after losing some to Overwatch League teams, mainly the Chengdu Hunters, and also Hangzhou Spark. So that's a nice pickup for Bilibili Gaming. And then we are also seeing a First Fabulous Fighter, the Korean tank player DPI, leave, and he will be retiring from Overwatch. So I wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Then we go over to the South American region. Yeah, it's a chunky one, this one, I did say so. And we see the Argentinian support player DDX leaving Dignity, and he will be retiring from Overwatch. Again, I wish him all the best going forward. And then 2 leaving at Petitos. This is the Peruvian DPS player Emerald and the Brazilian DPS player Gim. Both leaving Petitos and will no longer be assigned. I wish them all the best in looking for new teams. But now let's get to some more chunky regions. First of all, EU, where we see the Turkish DPS player Braven leaving the Angry Titans, and he will be coming into Oldham Board. Joining him at Oldham Board will be the Canadian support player Autumn Souls. I wish him all the best at Oldham Board as well. Then we see a first movement of some of our ex-Overwatch League French players from the Paris Eternal. Nico, the DPS player, moves into Shoes Money Crew EU. I think he's been doing very well there, and I wish him all the best going forward with them. And then the main tank, Bembest, the French main tank Bembest from Paris Eternal last year, is moving in to Young and Beautiful. Again, interesting move, and I wish him all the best. For some reason, I messed my graphics up, and we've got Square One in here as well. I don't know why. But their British tank player brutally left Square One and is no longer assigned. Talking of North America, let's get on to that region, where we see the Japanese support player Supreme move from assistant coach role at Susano to a player role at Drifters. Drifters making a few moves recently. I've been keeping an eye on them, and I wish them all the best in his player role there. Then we have Gig, the American main tank, who was at the Los Angeles Valiant, joined Revival with McGravy. He's now leaving Revival, which is a very interesting one. Again, there's been a lot of moves at Revival. Revival have had a rough time in the gauntlet, shall we put it that way. Also, Revival picked up 4 other players. This is the American support player Fix from Kratos, and then 3 unassigned players. This is Overwatch League quality players, by the way. So this is support Paintbrush, tank player Muma, and the DPS player Apply, all of which was assigned to Overwatch League teams last year. So Revival went and spent big bucks. And, well, I can't say spent big bucks, but went big, and yeah, it didn't really pay off. Anyway, another move in at Drifters. This is them signing the Korean DPS player Dekol. Wish him all the best at Drifters. And then we see Odyssey picking up the American DPS player Tree, or TR33. I'm assuming it's Tree. And yeah, I wish them all the best in their new roles at those teams. Then 2 out at Noble sees the 2 Korean players, the tank Think and the DPS Finale, leaving Noble, and then they will no longer be assigned. Noble will, however, bring in the Finnish tank player Milky Man to replace that tank player after he was previously unassigned. I wish him all the best at Noble. Then we have a move in at Kratos to replace the Fix move that we just talked about. This is the American support player Pascal moving into Kratos. I wish him all the best there. And after a very short time revival, Numa, tank player, will be moving to an assistant coach role at Dark Mode to work alongside head coach J-Mac. Interesting duo that, isn't it? 2 main tank players from the Overwatch League last year. I think they did pretty well, right? Yeah. Dark Mode didn't do badly actually in the gauntlet. They've actually exceeded expectations, so Numa and J-Mac should be very well pleased with how Dark Mode have gone. Anyway, let's move over to the Overwatch League, where we see Sung Woo, the Korean coach player, come in as assistant coach at the Los Angeles Valiant. Big move that, I like it. Nice addition to the coaching at the Valiant. Then we see the moves at Paris that we've been over. So this is the German support player Khan and the Danish DPS player Naga coming in from a Bay Alliance to Paris Eternal. Then we see the Spanish support player Neptuno and the Dutch tank player Dan move in from unassigned to the Paris Eternal. Then we switch over to Agilities, where we see him link up with the Los Angeles Valiant, the Canadian DPS player Agilities, going back to the Valiant. Interesting move, that one. Very interesting move. We'll see how that works in the coming season. And then 2 more incomers at the Paris Eternal sees them sign up the 2 players from New Kings in the EU region. This is the Swedish off-tank player Elivote and the Norwegian DPS player Onigod, both with previous Overwatch League experience, obviously with the Washington Justice and Dallas Fuel likewise. Then we see the incomers at the Florida Mayhem that we've talked about before. This is the Korean support player Slime, who was with the Seoul Dynasty last season. And then the Korean tank player OG, who was with the Gladiators last season, and then Dallas Fuel before that, both coming into the Florida Mayhem. And they also brought in the OZ Gaming DPS player Checkmate, who will then round out that Florida Mayhem roster pretty nicely. It'll be interesting to see how that one performs going into 2021. Then we see the moves at New York Excelsior, with them signing up main tank player Yakpung from Owtru Blast and re-signing their old off-tank Bianca to bring in a new tank line at the New York Excelsior for 2021. It will be interesting to see how that one performs. Then we see Juby, the American support player from HU Storm, actually, which is a college team coming into the Houston Outlaws. Big move, Houston, big move. It could either be incredible or it could backfire. It'll be interesting to see how that one works. Then we see Neist, the Korean DPS player, coming from T1 all the way to Toronto Defiant to complete their DPS line alongside Hisu and Logix. Then we see Toronto dropping Analyst Baroy. He will no longer be assigned. Soon, the French DPS player will be moving into the Boston Uprising after being on the Paris Eternal last season. I wish him all the best there as well. Yang Won, the Korean coach who was previously with Runaway and Vancouver Titans, will be moving into an assistant coach role at the Toronto Defiant. A little bit of there's some stacked coaches at Toronto Defiant, I'm noticing. It will be interesting to see if KDG can improve on what he did with the Philadelphia Fusion in 2020. Then, last 2, we have the Korean support player Friday moving from OZ Gaming to the New York Excelsior to go alongside Jonak for 2021. Again, an interesting move. I think there are better options, Sanguinar. But yeah, New York are doing something. They're going burr and seems very developmental. A bit like London in 2020, and look how that ended. So there's going to have to be some great coaching at New York Excelsior to make sure that this works. And last but not least, we talked about it not so long ago, the French DPS player Suna has moved into the Paris Eternal to round out their roster. We've actually covered their entire roster in this video, believe it or not. To round out that very cash-strapped roster. But Paris Eternal is looking better than we expected. And I think not... You don't have to be as down as you were, Paris fans. That's what I would say. But it's still not a roster that's going to do great things. It's not going to be 2020 Paris Eternal, that's for sure. But that is it for our transfer roundup. I will be back again with more videos coming at you time after time. But remember, get that bell icon, It will tell you when these videos go up. The Discord server is in the link in the description below, alongside the Discord server for Illusion Gaming, the community server that you can now join and interact with the org, and all of its socials are below as well. But for now, thank you guys so much for this video. If you'd like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.